Thanks to Breath of the Wild, I've become very impatient with games that try to lead me along and tell me where to go, because it does such a great job of letting me run loose without making things get boring or weird. When you first start this game, Link comes out of this cave with ragged clothes on and basically a stick. You meet an old dude and he tells you to go do some stuff, and it starts to feel like a regular Zelda game, a fetch quest. It may sound restrictive, but this is perfect because Hyrule is gigantic. It's a very big place to explore, lots of dangers which are fun to overcome, but if you don't know what you're doing, what's the fun in that? And so the Great Plateau gives the player a place to practice within these harsh elements and find their way around and overcome these obstacles without ruining their experience in the game. There are various versions of harsh temperatures that you have to learn how to get around, as well as a plethora of enemies for you to practice your combat against. I think there's even a few bosses on the Great Plateau, but all of this is teaching you how to play the game overall. You'll unlock more abilities that give you the ability to play the game even better and more creatively. And each of these abilities have a shrine dedicated to them, so not only are you given the chance to practice these abilities, a shrine will also teach you things about the game in general. My favorite example is how there's a flying ball that goes back and forth that teaches you to play with the physics in Breath of the Wild, which, if you've played this game at all, you know that's a very big part of it. The Great Plateau is one of the best intro areas in any video game. It does a great job of not holding your hand while also holding your hand through learning the game's basic mechanics. So once you do earn your way off of the Great Plateau, you're given a glider that lets Link fly from high altitudes without breaking his ankles. So once you land in Hyrule proper, you're sort of on your own. You have a waypoint you can go follow on the map, but you don't really have to do that. The game's not gonna stop you and say, hey, you have to go do your quest. It's just there and you can go explore. You can go find things, find weapons, find places that you might not have found otherwise. So as you head off on your journey, scenarios will pop up naturally on your path. Breath of the Wild is very smart in sort of predicting where you're gonna go based on where you are, and things will happen along the way. Enemies will spawn, people will be under attack by monsters, and you can choose to be the hero and go help them. They'll give you some stuff, or in my case, you'll get your butt kicked. But they're not scripted in the way that's like, oh, Link, help me out. I need you to save my life. It's more like these things are just happening around you, and the game lets you decide whether or not you want to interact with them. Not only does this give you something to do that can result in a reward, it's also a great way for the game to show you what's happening in Hyrule and why you need to save it. People are just trying to do a hike and find some mushrooms and they're getting attacked by monsters, and this is one of my favorite methods of storytelling. It's very subtle, although quite obvious that this was meant for you to see it, but it gives the world its own breath, its own life, and it shows you what it's about without saying this is what the game is about. Granted, there are a lot of cinematics at the beginning of this game that do tell you what's going on in the world very explicitly. I'm talking more about as you play the game. Those cinematics, after a while, you even forget they happened. I forgot most of those were there when I fired up the intro. I was playing it for the first time again to make this video, and I forgot that there was all of that storytelling in the beginning. And I think that's a testament to all the storytelling that happens outside of cinematics. Another way in which Breath of the Wild rewards your exploration is by literally doing that. If you want to find a new shrine to upgrade your hearts or your stamina wheel, all you need to do is look around and find some orange light, and when you do, that is a shrine you haven't found yet, and go to it. There are certain shrines that require puzzles, but in the beginning area where you land, there aren't many like that. You just walk up to them, unlock them, and now you can not only get some stuff like weapons, you can also set that as a travel point, which is very useful as the game goes on. One of my favorite things to do in Breath of the Wild is set map markers for things that I find along the way, stuff that I want to revisit later. My favorite example is the skull map marker for a mini boss that just happens to spawn while I was picking mushrooms or something or finding rocks. There's a stone talus right there just about to kill me. The music starts. I'm gonna run away, but first I'm gonna set a little skull icon so I know that when I'm ready, I'll come back here and I'll kick his butt. And over time, and in my case, hundreds of hours of this game, I have this map that's very specific to me. These are the things I wanted to remember and find them where they are. Granted, that's where they are for everybody, but it was nice to look at and be like, oh yeah, that's when I fought that boss. Oh yeah, that's where I found that bow, and I can go back there and go get that bow. Things like this make the game feel very personal and unique to the player, and it's my opinion that that's why this game landed so nicely with most of the people who played it. This is your journey, and you can go in that direction if you want to go find some stuff. Just be ready to fight things, or be ready to make some stew that'll help you survive in the cold or warm climates. One example from the Great Plateau really drives this point home. As I was working through the intro again, I found a shrine that was in a cold area and I started to freeze. So I quickly ran back down the mountain because I have 3 hearts, not like 27 as I do in my main game. And when I make it to the bottom of this hill, there's a group of monsters just having a campfire and cooking some meat, whatever. They're hanging out and I'm really weak. I was able to kick their butt, and after that I realized I saw a bush of peppers that then told me if I cook them, it'll increase my stamina and my ability to be in cold weather. And again, this was placed right at the bottom of the hill of a cold mountain area that leads to the next shrine. So the game just taught me that if I want to survive in cold areas, I need to cook some food, or as I'll learn later in the game, get some clothing that gives me cold resistance. And it's just this kind of stuff where everything means something in Breath of the Wild. So this game is just dense with information that's naturally found as you play it. Breath of the Wild is obviously not the first Zelda game, but if you ask me, it could have been. This game doesn't rely at all on nostalgia. I mean, there are things that harken back to old Zelda games. Obviously, the characters are familiar, weapons are familiar, the Master Sword is present, but overall, this game could have just as easily stood on its own. And they prove that by throwing some of the old things away, and 2 of those things are the dungeons, which you used to have to get 8 things from dungeons and then go fight Ganon. And another thing is that they threw Link's traditional clothing away. They just gave you this blue shirt with whatever you want to wear, honestly, but even the default outfit isn't Link's default outfit from Zelda. You have to go out of your way to go and get the default outfit that people remember from classic Zelda games, and by then you're done with Breath of the Wild and you've played it outside of the confines of what people are used to when you think Legend of Zelda game. And with all of these thoughts on the table, I recently finished my quests in Breath of the Wild. I have nothing left to do besides the stuff that you can do over and over again. I don't want to say I put this game to bed. I might play Master Mode. We'll see. It's a really hard version of the game. The enemies regenerate health and there's a lot of other stuff. I feel like I could just do that until the new Breath of the Wild comes out. I mean, I'm down for any excuse to revisit Breath of the Wild, so I mean, maybe I'll do that and I'll let you know how it goes. In the meantime, if you like this video, please like the video. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Thank you very much for watching today's video. I really just wanted a reason to talk about Breath of the Wild, and I realized I have a YouTube channel, so I'm just gonna make a video, and I did. So I will see you guys in the next video. Have a great day, stay cool if you're in a warmer climate, and I will see you next time.